Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the online Q&A with Bert Salazar. I'm excited to be here with all of you. We're, I think, 3 weeks away from Christmas 2020, so I can't wait for 2020 to be finally over, so that way we can start launching 2021. As always, I'm here to provide you with information and, most important, education, because at the end of the day, information without education always leads to failure. So I'm going to do a couple of things today because I have gotten some emails from a number of clients regarding what's going to happen with the taxes moving forward in 2021 if Biden gets certified and actually becomes president of the United States. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And also, I want to share with you, I'm very excited because my new book actually will be out on Amazon right before Christmas. So I'm going to let everyone know. I'm going to actually read the preamble to the book today for all of you. I'm going to show you what the book looks like, and I'm going to share with you the chapters and the information that I'm covering in that book. It's an ebook, so you're going to be able to download it once you purchase it from Amazon. What I do ask you to do, please, is when you do buy the book, if you can read it and make some comments on Amazon, because the more people make a comment on my book, then you're helping me get my book to a higher level where more and more people will look at it and hopefully purchase it, because it's a tremendous book. It's taken me probably around 15 to 16 months to complete. A lot of research and then a lot of writing and so forth. I had to hire a designer out of Venezuela, and she did a really good job for me in order to, as far as putting the book together and the design, the front cover and all the graphs and so forth. So I'm excited, and I'm so happy I'm going to be able to launch it right before Christmas, so you can all maximize this opportunity. So, and then I want to talk a little bit about what are some of the considerations on the tax planning for Joe Biden, but I don't want to take any more of your time, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to take you right to my book so you can take a look at it. And like I said, I'm extremely excited about being able to share this great opportunity with all of you. Let me see now. There you go. Okay. So the name of the book that I have just written is Retirement Paradigms, and it's Managing Retirement Risks in the 21st Century. And that's something that it's very, very important. Let me go here real quick so I can take a look at this and make sure that you can all see it. So once again, Retirement Paradigms, Managing Retirement Risks in the 21st Century. And as you can see there, this is the front cover, the cover page for this book. And it's a good one because, it's a road to a guiding light. So, and you see a couple walking down that road, and that's a road taking most Americans to retirement. And then they're hoping in different ways to get to that guiding light at some point in time in the future. And that's obviously going to depend on some of the things that I can see that some people are doing from a business standpoint. So we're going to be able to share a lot of that along those lines. So once again, I'm excited that all of you are here. So let me take you right to the articles on the book. So it's got, it's got a bunch of chapters that I think you're going to find very interesting. There's an introduction, which is the one that I'm going to read for you as to why this book. Let me make it a little larger so you guys can see it a little bit better. And the first chapter of the book is Retirement in the 21st Century. And there I'm going to cover old versus new, the old way and the old world of retirement versus a new world. What has changed over the last 30 to 40 years. Another topic there on that chapter is you're on your own. In other words, any type of benefit you're going to receive in the future, any planning, any retirement distribution, you're pretty much basically on your own, and I devote a portion of the chapter to that. Lack of financial education for Americans, this is something that I see quite often. What are the U.S. economic challenges, as you can see there? And another one is you can't get there from here. You know, most Americans think that they're going to be fine in retirement. And I don't care whether you happen to be 35 years of age today, 40 years of age, or you happen to be in your 60s. Most Americans think that they're going to be fine in retirement, and that's far from the truth. And many a times it's not going to be the case. Another one is the 4 major destructive risks. I go into more detail on the 4 major risks that you have heard me talk about. You know, the risk of dying too soon, living too long, living with a disability, and living with eroding factors. But I go into a lot more details that I think most of you are going to benefit tremendously from that chapter. The second chapter in that book is deals with the benefits of a tactical retirement blueprint, which is the type of blueprint I put together for all my clients. And there I'm going to kind of walk you through the tactical retirement blueprint, how to achieve financial security in retirement, how to create a tax-free retirement plan, what are the required paradigms of success that you need to have as part of your ever-going retirement distribution planning in order to arrive at a successful retirement. I'm also going to talk a little bit about application of economics to financial decisions, which is something that most Americans are not privy to and they have not been educated on, because you know, in high school or college, unless you're going to obtain a degree in accounting or economics, or finance, you're not going to learn much about economics unless you do some self-studying. So I'm giving you an area in that chapter just discussing that. And then one last portion there in chapter number 2 is keeping your eye on the ball, especially on the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you know, which is bound to sunset now on December 31st, 2025. But if Joe Biden were to win the election and be certified, chances are he's going to be either doing away with the entire TCJA or portions of the TCJA, and that remains to be seen at this point in time. Chapter number 3 is a very important chapter, because here I'm going to educate you on how to prepare yourself to fight, you know, the retirement fight that all of us are going to have to deal with at some point in time in the future. So that chapter is called Never Bring a Knife to a Gunfight, because obviously you're going to lose 99.9% of the time. There I'm going to talk about the 3 major gunfighters that all of us, whether now prior to retirement or in retirement, we're all going to have to deal with. And those are the government gunfighters, major corporations gunfighters, and last but not least, financial institution gunfighters. And each and every one of them are going to bring certain weapons to that fight against you that unless you know how to deal with that, then you're going to lose a war. So very seldom are you going to be able to win a battle, let alone the war, unless you're fully prepared and understand how it is that these governmental and financial entities actually prepare to fight, and what are the tools and techniques that they use to get at your money on an ongoing basis. Then I'm going to discuss actually the weapons that Americans should be bringing to the fight. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Willie Sutton story, which is a famous story that I use in many of my webinars. You know, Willie Sutton, for those of you that don't know this, was a very famous bank robber back in the 40s and 50s. And I make an analogy between Willie Sutton and what he did from a crime perspective to a financial standpoint. So, and a financial perspective for that matter. The next chapter is understanding Social Security and taxation. So I spend a little bit of time in that chapter talking about pay now or pay later. It's entirely your choice, but you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam no matter what. Understanding provisional income, what I call the torpedo tax in retirement. And then last but not least in that chapter is about speculation, which is the mother of all evil when it comes to finances. Another chapter, another great chapter is deals with retirement, and it's about managing retirement risk and the importance of retirement. It's all about managing risk, because if you're not able to manage the risk of things that are going to happen to you at some point in time in the future, chances are you're not going to be very, very successful. So it deals with the importance of risk management and retirement, and then how to maximize your income benefits in retirements as a way to safeguard yourself and your family from those issues that are very critical. Then another chapter that I have written in this book is about how to maximize your pension benefit. So it doesn't matter whether it's a public pension system, a private pension system, or a self-created pension system. I go into details into the good, the bad, and the ugly of those systems, and how to navigate through them in order to make certain that you come out a winner at the end of that road. Another chapter in this book, as you can tell, this is a very, very, very informative book that is going to give you a tremendous amount of information. So another section in this book is pension maximization techniques, which is, talk about the Mount Everest story that I share with many of you, but I go into a lot more detail with actual graphs and actual information on things that are very important for you to consider as you prepare for retirement. Pension maximization straddle, how to enhance all those pension benefits and get more income in retirement on a guaranteed basis than you could have ever thought possible. And then I talk about the volatility concept, which is a technique that I use with many of my clients when it comes to pension distribution planning. Then I take a chapter just to go into life insurance as a retirement tool. And the fact that life insurance is the most versatile product that you can have in your financial arsenal, and how to use it depending on what your goals, needs, and objectives are, and how do you use that tool as a way to maximize your retirement benefit. And then, because I finished writing this book in the last 3 months, I devote a chapter to the COVID-19 virus of 2020. And I also go into a little bit of mortality credits, which are hopefully going to help us offset some of those losses that we suffered in 2020. Although the market has been doing fairly well the last half of this pandemic, many of you are yet to recover from where you were at prior to the pandemic on most of your retirement accounts. And then the last chapter is what I call Just Do It, which is the Bert Salazar Tactical Retirement Blueprint. So I go into details as to what it actually does. And then I go into the features and benefits of the Tactical Retirement Blueprint. So as you can see, this is a great book. I'm very proud. I'm going to be patting myself in the back because I'm very proud. I have given it to a number of my clients to read and to give me feedback prior to taking it to publications, and I have gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback. So I'm hoping that all of you are going to have a chance to buy it and read it. I'm just going to do very quickly the preamble to this book, which is what I decided to do with my family when I sat down with my wife is, why this book? I've been in the financial services industry, doing accounting, tax planning, and retirement distribution and debt management for, over 30 years. So, why this book? Why am I now writing a book about, my career and what I have learned all throughout, and, the challenges that many of my clients have faced before they engage me and then after they engage me, and how do we deal with all those things. So let me read this fairly quickly for you, and then I'll get into the point of the Biden tax plan, which is something that I have been asked a few times over the last few weeks as we do these online Q&As every Friday between now and the end of the year. So Why this book? Well, for the past 30 years, I have been providing financial education and planning to thousands of Americans via educational seminars, informational workshops, one-on-one consultations, obviously podcasts, financial webinars, and YouTube webcasts that I do on an ongoing basis. As a retirement strategist and tax planner, I have made education a critical part of my financial and tax planning practice. Although there's more and there's a tremendous amount of information available online regarding retirement, Americans, for the most part, are worse off than they've ever been. And the reason for that is that information without education always leads to failure. So the chapters in this book are strategically designed to challenge your current knowledge base while enhancing your ability to think outside of the box. Moreover, the chapters are positioned in a chronological order to problem identification, traditional financial solutions, and economic solution designs. And this is something that I'm very proud of, and I wanted to do it in that sequence because I feel that it's going to help you see the whole world, your financial world, from a different perspective. Now, in this book, perhaps for the first time in your financial and retirement life, you will be encouraged to look at your personal economics through a telescope as opposed to a microscope. The views and perspectives are totally different. You will be challenged from an economic standpoint to question all previous financial decisions, because at the end of the day, if everything you ever learned about financial matters was wrong, when would it be a good time to find out? Well, now is the time. There's no better time than now. I am glad that you have taken the first step in preparing for the rest of your life. You will not be disappointed. So I encourage you to read every chapter in its entirety and highlight specific areas of interest for further research and/or implementation. This could be the last financial and retirement book you will ever have to read. Now, I'm already working on a second book, but this is going to give you a tremendous amount of information that is going to cover just about every area of retirement that you may have a concern with. I hope that you enjoy this educational and call to action. The reason why I wanted to make this book a call to action is because the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same things over and over again while expecting a different result. Therefore, I recommend that you bring an open mind attitude in order to maximize the takeaways in this book. So this is the preamble, why this book. So once again, I'm excited. As you can see here, I love this page because it says a lot, retirement paradigms and how to manage retirement risks in the 21st century. So let me just stop sharing my screen, and it's going to bring me back to the topic at hand today, which is I've been getting a number of calls, and last week I did 2 reviews with clients. This week I've done 3 of them, so I try to maximize all my reviews on a quarterly basis. I'm going to be shutting my office now on the 18th of December. So obviously I'm not going to be open until the beginning of January. But one of the questions that I get asked is, well, what's going to happen to taxation moving forward into 2021 if Joe Biden becomes president of the United States? And at this point in time, as of today, and we're actually a month past the election of November 3rd, no one knows, because it's all going to be dependent on who's going to control the Senate. Now, if Biden wins, now Biden is going to have the Democrats are going to have the presidency, and they're going to have the House, although it's going to be at a very slim margin. So a lot of the things that they may want to do in the House, if some of those Democratic Congress people decide not to go with it, then obviously it's going to be a challenge for them to get it done. But at least they're still controlling the House at this point in time. By the way, what I'm about to tell you is all apolitical, so I don't want to take sides. I'm a libertarian, so I don't like a lot of the things that the Republicans do on one side of the ledger, and I don't like a lot of things that the Democrats do on the other side. So, I hate everybody equally, but as a libertarian, I'm going to talk to you from an economics perspective. Now, if the Democrats actually get to control the Senate, at least for the first 2 years. Now, remember that, the Senate, people sign up for 6 years and the Congress is every 2 years. So if the Democrats get to control the Senate, if they win the 2 remaining seats, which are now going to a runoff in Georgia on January 5th, then obviously now the Democratic Party is going to control the presidency, they're going to control the House, and they're going to control the Senate. So that's the tripod of control from an economic and political standpoint. If that's the case, now Joe Biden is going to try it over the next 2 years before the next set of elections to try to get his agenda on board and get everyone to approve everything that he wants to get. Now, if right now the way that the Senate sits is that there are 50 Republican seats that are they control in the Senate, and there are 48 for the Democrats. If the Democrats actually win the 2 Senate races in Georgia, those 2 seats, then it will be a 50-50 split. But as you all know, Kamala Harris, which would be the vice president of the United States under Joe Biden, will be the deciding factor if there's a vote, and it's a 50-50 vote. So obviously 100% of the time the Democrats are going to win. Now, winning those 2 seats is easier said than done, because if they only win one, it's not going to be enough, because it would be a 50-49 and then, or a 51 to 49, and therefore that's not going to work. And the Republicans are going to control it. If the Republicans control the Senate, then they're going to create a buffer between the presidency and the House. So a lot of those goals and objectives that President Biden may want to bring to the forefront are probably not going to be able to pass. But if we want to hypothetically think that the Democrats are going to control everything, the presidency, the House, and the Senate, one of the major proposals is going to be in the area of 401ks. The 401k system is a, progressive tax system. So if you happen to know, one of the things that Biden is going to do is he's going to reduce standard deductions, and also he's going to increase the tax bracket. So the largest tax bracket that we have today under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is the 37% tax bracket. So he's going to bring it to the 39.6% tax bracket. So, let's say that you're an American that does very well financially. You make more than $400,000 a year. You make a contribution to your 401k of, let's say, $10,000. So if you're in the 39.6% tax bracket, you make a $10,000 contribution to your 401k, then that means that you're going to get a $3,960 tax deduction in the year of the contribution. Now, don't misunderstand this with a tax savings, because you're not saving in taxes, you're actually postponing the tax. And when you postpone the tax, whether you make a contribution to an IRA or 403b or 401k, when you postpone the tax, you're also postponing the tax liability. But for argument's sake, if you're in the 39.6% tax bracket, you put $10,000 into that 401k, you're going to take a tax deduction in your 1040 filing for the current year in the amount of $3,960. But what if you were in the 10% tax bracket? If you're in the 10% tax bracket and you make that same $10,000 contribution, I'm going to do a video in more detail on this, but if you make that same $10,000 contribution, then your tax deduction would be 10% of 10,000, so that's $1,000. So obviously, the person that makes the most amount of money gets a higher deduction versus a person that makes the least. Now, if you don't make a lot of money and you put that 10,000, you're going to say, well, Bert, this is not fair. I only got a $1,000 deduction where someone else received a $3,960 deduction. Is not fair to me. So what Joe Biden's proposal is that instead of giving you a deduction, he's going to give you a flat tax credit of 26%. So in this scenario, if you put $10,000 where before you were only, because you're in a lower tax bracket, you're in the 10% tax bracket, you were only getting a deduction of $1,000. Under the new tax plan, you would get a tax credit of $2,600. So you're actually ahead of the curve by $1,600. Always remember that when you do your taxes at the end of the year, remember that your deductions and exemptions reduce your adjustable income and your tax deductions, but your credits actually reduce your tax liability. So that's important to note. But what happens if you were that person in the 39% tax bracket? Well, in that case, if you were in the 39% tax bracket and you were getting that $3,960 deduction, and all of a sudden you're only going to get a tax credit of $2,600, you ended up paying, what was it? Let me see, I wrote it down. You ended up paying $1,360 more in taxes to make that $10,000 contribution to your IRA, 401k, and so forth. So the higher your tax bracket is, because the more income you make, whether you go to the maxed out income of 39.6% or anything below that, if the new law goes into effect, you're going to have to be very careful, because remember, under the new law that Biden wants to pass, if he can get it approved, you're no longer going to be able to deduct your contributions to your 401ks or IRAs. All you're going to be able to do is to get that tax credit. So if before on $100,000 of income, you put $10,000 away, so you only pay taxes on $90,000, under the new law, if you make that $100,000 and you put $10,000 away, your adjustable taxable income will still be $100,000. You're just getting a $2,600 tax deduction. Now, if you're in a lower tax bracket, that makes more sense to you. If you're in a higher tax bracket, it may even mean that you may be better off putting that money instead of a traditional 401k or an IRA. You may want to make that contribution to a Roth, which may be more suitable for you, because the other side of the coin that most advisors are not going to be talking to you about is that if the new law goes into effect, whether you're in a high tax bracket, you're in a lower tax bracket, whether you're able to benefit from the tax credit of 26% across the board, or you don't benefit from it because it's actually costing you money to put that money into a tax deferred account. Once you retire and you start pulling those dollars out of your 401ks and IRAs, you're still now going to have to pay taxes on all that money. So now you're going to have that double taxation. For those clients of mine that live in California, in New York, in Massachusetts, in a lot of those, Illinois, a lot of those very high tax states, where not only do you pay federal income taxes, you also pay state income taxes. You may even pay county and city income tax. Then remember that Joe Biden is coming for you. So you got to be able to protect yourself. And that's one of the chapters that I write in my book, because at the end of the day, it's all up to you. It's not going to be up to the government. You just have to be one step away. I read the autobiography of Wayne Gretzky, which it's a Hall of Fame hockey player. I'm sure most of you have heard the name. And Wayne Gretzky was one of the greatest players in the history of the NHL. And he was being interviewed by Bob Costas probably 15 years ago. And one of the questions about Costas asked him was, Wayne, you were so much better than everybody else. What made you that good? And it was funny because Wayne Gretzky was very humble, and he says, I was a very good skater. I had been playing hockey all my life, and I think I was better than a little bit better. He didn't say a lot better. He said I was probably a little bit better than most, by not by much. What made me different than every other hockey player I've played against is that most of the time in a hockey game, 99.9% of the hockey players are actually chasing the puck. In my case, I studied hockey to such an extent that when I got on the ice and I started playing the game, once I got into the groove of the game, I did not chase the puck. I tried to skate to where I thought the puck was going to be. And because I got there just before the puck got there, it allowed me to do with that hockey puck what most people were not able to do. So the reason for this analogy that I'm using now from a financial standpoint is that don't go chasing that financial puck. You have to be able to understand your environment. You have to be able to see what's coming down the line. You have to be able to look at your finances through a telescope as opposed to a microscope. And instead of chasing that financial world, try to skate and run to where that financial world is going to be, because at the end of the day, if you're able to do so, then you, your business, your family, your retirement life is going to be at a much, much greater level than it would have been otherwise. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed this online Q&A. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my exciting new book with all of you. And I encourage, and I'll let you know when it's going to go on Amazon so all of you can go and buy it. For those of you that may want to pick my brain about this or any other subject between now and the end of the year, please feel free to give me a call. You can call me at area code 786-766-1042. You can also send me an email at Bert, B-E-R-T, at bertsalazar.com, BERTSALAZAR.com. And always, always, always remember that my goal for you and for your family is to kind of help you change the way that you look at things, because when you change the way that you look at things, the things that you see change. So once again, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all of you, because this is the month to be able to enjoy, everything that we have today. And although 2020 has been a very, very challenging year for all of us, I want to wish you all the very, very best. I'll see you again next Friday, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.